Hello everyone. How are y'all doing today? Hopefully well. Hey Foxy, hey Puff. Honestly, that's one of the things that we can fix today. Is that tracker? I think it would be smart to do that today as well. But how y'all doing? Hopefully well. Today I'm still somewhat recovering. Hey. Hey Dragon, how you doing? So I've been, well, specifically last night I did not sleep well. I don't know what was going on last night. I don't know about y'all. Applying for jobs? Hell yeah. Are you just applying for anything and everything really? Speedrun a project? Is it because it's like last minute, or why are you trying to speedrun it? I literally just rolled out of bed like 15 minutes ago. Your week has been ass? No. Puff, no. Going better than I expected considering the fact that I've not worked on it for like 2 weeks. Okay. What is this project anyway? Is this like a personal project? Well, I mean, if there's a deadline, it makes me think it's not a personal project. I finished Silksong. Hell yeah, Foxy. How'd you like Silksong? From what I hear, it's really great. Just saying. But yeah, no, like game of the year. Yeah, I bet. I still haven't played Hollow Knight, let alone Silksong yet. Object-oriented analysis. Interesting. Basically explain everything that a company needs when implementing something. Oh, got you. Okay, I follow you now. I got food poisoning on Monday and my face was hurting the entire day. Forgot my keys and wallet home yesterday and very tired the whole day. Well, yeah, you had food poisoning. Lesbian relationships, that does add quite a few points to the game. Not gonna lie. Yeah, listen, food poisoning will just knock you on your butt. So don't be too tough on yourself on how all the... It's not like you do it and then you're just like, I'm fine now. Everything's great. Poison the food journey, take revenge. Yeah, no, they work their butts off. That game is, at least from the parts that I've seen, I've tried to keep my distance from it. At least for I will eventually play it, I'm sure. I'm not 100% sure if it's a game that I would stream, but it's a game that I would play. Granted, y'all really want me to play Silksong, so maybe I will stream it. We'll see. The amount of I've seen is crazy. It's on the bucket list. It's on the bottom. Pretty much. It's just like add it to the list. It'll be right underneath Borderlands whenever I get through actually playing those games. Then Hollow Knight, in my opinion. Really? I heard the other way around. What, Yuri? I mean, listen, I'm a huge fan. Damn it! Now I remember what the lore thing I was gonna say. The lore redeem, the one that I forgot over the 24-hour stream. I remembered it now. It did have something to do with Yuri. Well, shit. Well, we'll wait for the next one. We'll do it on the next one. That or not play the original. I am having a hell of a time with it. Yeah. I wouldn't go to the extreme of saying Dinosaur Yuri. As far as I'm aware, at least the current plans for things, I don't really have plans for any of them being in relationships with each other. But that doesn't mean that y'all can't put them into relationships in your own, like, mind palace. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna tell y'all where it's just like, no, they can't, for this reason. My entire 47 player, I died less than 50 times. Hell yeah! 20 of those is one boss. Yeah, that's how it is. that gonna be part of the daily sort? Hope not. What, Dinosaur Yuri? No. No. Again, pretty much like dinosaur, any the summons, as far as I have any kind of plans going forward, there aren't any kind of like ones that are in relationships. But again, y'all can come up with your own like mind palace stories with it if you so choose. Asexual and aromantic. Kinda? Well, I mean, to me, the reason it kind of comes off that way is because they're undead. They don't really have a need, like, they don't really even get hungry, let alone have those kind of desires, you know? So, like, there are also things where it's just like, they don't really eat either. Like, they're like any kind of basic living functions they kind of lack because they're undead. So to me, it would be odd if that's something that they would do. But I'm not saying it's completely null and I won't change my mind later. But for now, I don't have any plans for that kind of stuff. They turned the dinosaurs ace. Yeah, that's why they're purple. I need to step back on this joke. We were basically shipping possessed rocks. I mean, kinda. I mean, you're currently talking through a talking rock. You know? Do undead people not have to poop? No. They're undead. They don't eat. The woke liberals made the dinosaurs asexual. It's really funny. Is that the asexual dinosaur guy? It's like, yeah, you know. Oh gosh, that's pretty funny. Oh man. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was something on the water. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, today's gonna feel a little bit more like a Sunday chill day kind of thing, but more like with more focus on like software side of stuff. Can we get an asexual Mama Dota skin for Pride Month, baby? Maybe. Sure. I don't see why not. I don't really know. I mean, I could start pondering how I would go about doing that. They are putting microchips into our water supply to turn our dinosaurs gay. Dinosaurs asexual. Which is worse. I'm just kidding. But I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll once Pride Month comes back around, we'll see what we can do with the costume. So speaking of costumes, I also wanted to go over all the different costumes during the big stream as well, just to kind of like, I really want to kind of go into detail of how I went about doing things as far as the unique interactions, as far as like all that kind of stuff. Granted, I think the unique interactions, it was only really one, which was the GTFO one. Rainbow Mama Dota that goes through the entire color spectrum. Oh, like just constantly going through the colors. That's pretty funny. Fossil fuels are making everyone gay. Fossil fuels is really funny. I mean that me and Salty might be doing a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon casting call. Really? Interesting. Oh, so wait, hold on. What is a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? What is that? Is that like an RPG, like tabletop RPG kind of deal? At least that's the vibe that I get from it. Pokemon Story RPG. Okay. All right. Hell yeah. Well, I hope you both get it. Mainly on the high-end health consoles. Got you. Okay, yeah. I hope you get it. But yeah, no. But overall, I had a really fun time. I really like it. Salty is obsessed with it. Well, then I hope you both really get it. I hope you have a lot of fun with it too. But no, we had a lot. I know I had a lot of fun with it, and hopefully y'all also had fun with the 24-hour stream. Oh, one thing I do want to also mention today. From the combination of the tier list, and I will also be putting out a poll on Discord. We're going to be going through spring cleaning as well for Mama Dodo's costumes, because we have now reached a critical threshold of we need to reel it back. So I need to update the Discord for the new costumes that were added in the 24-hour stuff, as well as and then we'll just go down the list and people can like vote for whatever. And then whoever gets the most vote will take like the top, I think 10 is what we've been doing. Also can sneak peek what we're planning to do when we're streaming against it and we finish, start again. Pokemon Ultra Sun. Ooh, that's also a soul lock. That could be fun. That could be fun. What if you're diabetic and dyslexic so you don't know what type you are? Maybe. Maybe. So for a quick rundown for those that may have missed either partly or completely of the stream that we did on Halloween. Pokemon Nuzlocke. Okay. I'm down for trying out a Pokemon Nuzlocke. I feel like I would be really bad at it because I'm filthy casual when it comes to Pokemon. I just like what I like, and I'm just like, I'm gonna make a team of the 7 deadly sins, or it's just like I'm just gonna make a bunch of dragons. Like it's really just thematic all the way. What do you mean? I'm gonna buy it in person. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That could be a great guide if Salty is the same. Well, if y'all are doing an RPG with it, I imagine y'all are like good, like real, not good, knowledgeable. There's Sun and Moon. See, I never played Sun and Moon, so that one might be worth it because I haven't played that one. The only one that I played the crap out of was Ruby. I mean, I also played like Gold and stuff like that, but Ruby was really the biggest one that I went into. I'm gonna go make a team that's just Ditto. We're not making it our. We're just doing a casting call of comic of the year. Right. I apologize if I misspoke, but you're participating in a Pokemon RPG would give me the impression that you are very knowledgeable. Yes. It's like one of the best Pokemon games. Interesting. So Sun or Moon? Which one would be a higher rating in your mind? I played Pokemon Red once when I was little, and that's the last Pokemon I played. Got you. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, what's y'all's favorite Pokemon? Do you like dark mode or light mode? You pick best on that. If that's the case, the dark mode. 100%. Who does things on light mode? What the hell? Who amongst us would do light mode? Oh yeah, definitely Dragonite for Dragon. I remember. Swear to God, it's somebody says before. Puff, really? Really? Puff, you do light mode? I want you to I want you to convince me. Why light mode? Genuine question. No judgment. Honorable mentions to Goodra, Ampharos, and Lapras. I really do like Lapras. Goodra is difficult. Makes it easier for me to read. It doesn't hurt your eyes? With all that white? I can see the argument as far as making it easier to read. I only turn on dark mode when it's late. See, for me, it's all about that eye strain. The light mode just to me, especially after a long time, it hurts my eyes, dude. It's simple as that. But you know what? I I respect is like, it's a clarity thing. I can respect that point of view. I know like 5 Pokemon, so I'm going to go with Meowth. All right, that's fine too. This gives me flashbacks to the drawing compared to where we overlapped our 3 Pokemon. Oh yeah. I was gonna say we definitely had this conversation before. There's no way you didn't talk about Pokemon, because I don't know any Fox Pokemon. Ninetales. Nine-tailed Fox. Ninetales, which is also like one of my favorites too. They're amazing. If Mama Dodo was a Pokemon type, would she be? What was the others? What about the other kids? We 100% had that specific conversation of which costume is which combination of things. We could do that today if we want. If you guys want to run that through, I think we only went through like half of them. We could do the other half if y'all want to have that discussion. I don't mind. May I introduce you to Vulpix? Yeah. I can't be bothered to switch to a default setting. See, that, Puff, I 100% believe. I think a vast majority of people who enjoy light mode are they just don't want to go through the bothersome process of switching to dark mode. I think that's a major part of it. Which I know is fair. Excel finally made it so that it's like, it's just a click of a button now. Thank God. But like, I can walk you through it if you want. Oh man. But anyway. You're like, nah, I'm fine. But also, like, when it comes to like, I think the reason. Oh, let me ask you this, Puff. Let me ask you this. This is a follow-up question to the light mode aspect. Do you like a lot of light in the room that you're in? Because I don't. Yeah, I love Vulpix. What are you talking about? Vulpix is great. Interesting. Because if you had a very bright room, light mode make a lot of sense. You're really sensitive to light, but you like light mode. Interesting. You're a conundrum, Puff. You're a conundrum. Because that just hurts my eyes. I like a dimly lit room, so dark mode is perfect for me. But you know what? To each their own. We fulfill different niches in the environment. If there are those that enjoy dark mode, there was those who enjoy light. I know I do, Pop. I'm just gonna snitch on you for salty. Favorite monster salties. Got you. That's funny. All right. Anyway, so the different costumes that we did, right? So for the 24-hour stream, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technically 6, but it is 5 costumes for 5 games, but it's technically 6 costumes. And what we have, so this was the first GTFO one. I am mixed feelings. Right, Puff? We equal each other out. I like the beak against the helmet here. There are certain aspects that I think is going to be done better, but this is not a what could I have done better analysis. This is this is pretty decent, right? And then we have this one where once the event is triggered, then he switches and then it does the whole process. So we're going to talk about how that works. In fact, can I do it now? Let's see if I can figure out if this will work the way that I can think of it. Let's see here. Hold on, I'm gonna count a little bit. Quiet, just in case. I'm gonna talk a little loud. And there you go. That's the event, right? And then it like made a thing go up. Like we had a little counter that it would go up for amount of times that I did it. So that's that. use light mode in a dark room is because then I can more easily focus on one thing. Maybe that it would definitely grab my focus. I'll give you that, Puff. So we'll discuss like what went to that, and it's a lot more complicated than you think it is. Can we have all the HUD available to switch to for this week? Yes. Yes. Another reason why we are doing the spring cleaning this week as well is well, you see, in order for me to fit everything on there, I had to essentially remove all the shortcuts for the previous ones. So I don't even have the shortcuts ready for like the ones we're used to having, let alone the ones for Halloween. Oh gosh. But yes, I can have that at least turned on for this weekend. That could be fun. Just have that available. So we have the one that it changed to. Can you remove the default ones? Unlock, emote, edit emote, etc. I don't know. I can check. That's honestly a good question. Let's check. There's unlock a random sub. Yeah, no, I can't remove those. I can't remove the standard ones. I can remove like move your legs. Hey Ratty, how you doing? Welcome. How was your weekend? I'm trying to say we have so the basic ones that we can remove, and feel free to call out if the ones you're thinking of in order to make more room for stuff. We can move your legs. We can remove the exercise ones. We can remove stretch, hydrate, add something new to the channel, recommend yeah, those are the only base ones that are left, and I think all of them are petition for inked to be removed. Honestly, you might be onto something on that. I think it is time to kind of remove inked. That was something that was a request for. It was one of the first ones that I did, and it was in response to, I want to say, Bendy and the Ink Machine, if I recall correctly. At least increase the duration. It lasts like 10 seconds. How long would you want it to last? Well, it's I think inked is a bit awkward in the sense of like 5 hours. Oh, why did I even bother asking y'all? What? Like 10,000 years or 5 hours? It's ridiculous. The last digit of pi minutes. The rest of the stream. No. Imagine spending only 300 channel points to completely change the look of the stream for the rest of the time. That would be wild. No. But we can put some stuff up on the chopping block to make some room on stuff. Honestly, the biggest thing that we could do to save room is cut our sound redeems down, because our sound redeems take up 10 slots for that, just for that. So we could go from 10 to like 5 if we wanted to do that. Petition for it to be the entire stream, but if someone buys it again, it gets cleaned up. That would be... How would I be able to interact with that? Interesting. Dragon told me there's been Vulpix slander occurring. No, I refuse. I would never slander Vulpix or Ninetales for that matter. Vulpix is perfect. Foxy, on the other hand, I didn't even see what Foxy said about Vulpix. All I know is that they said that they didn't know of any Fox Pokemon. Yeah, Vulpix. What was the what's the name of like the different species versions? Like Alarian, something. Vulpix is also really, really good. My God. I don't know. Alolan? Is that it? Alolan, thank you. I don't know, man. It's close enough. Appreciate it. You know how I am with certain words. Aloha Vulpix. Yeah, it's like 1,000. Oh my gosh. I honestly really liked the fact that they added like alternative official Pokemon stuff like that, where it's like it's the one you know but a little different or seen in a different way or have like different things. And I think like the ghost Typhlosion I was a huge fan of. Hello, Mapu. Yeah, like I think it's kind of cool, and I am a sucker for like those custom like Bulbasaur but different plant species kind of like mental exercises or creative outlets. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Anything that's like introducing certain subspecies of them, like it's chef's kiss. Love it. Absolutely love it. Have you seen Mega Starmie? Yes, I've seen Slender Man Starmie. You told me. I do agree that it's so cool to see different seasonal Bulbasaurs. Bulbasaur not, it's a cactus. Essentially, yeah. Yeah, Bulbasaur, like cactus ones, there's like a couple different flowers, and like in general, like I think I also saw one that was like Charizard but different kinds of dragons as well, because you know dragons don't come in just a single fire dragon. Like what does a black or a blue fire dragon look like? Well, Grant, I guess that would be Mega Evolution Charizard, but point is, you know, different typings that really get to play with it, right? I don't think they play with it enough, personally. Charizard buddy look like a cough mess. The Applin line, but different dragon types is my favorite trope. Yeah. The fact that, by the way, can someone explain to me why Applin and all that other kind of stuff? Why does an apple become a dragon? Is that like a mythology things? Like, is that a thing where it's just like you just don't, there's like a story about an apple that becomes a dragon or something that I'm missing? Why does an apple become a dragon? I understand the Magikarp Gyarados thing is about mythology and stuff. This feels akin to that. It's a pun, worm and apple. Oh, thank you, Ratty. That makes sense. My favorite trope is when villains don't get more or less dangerous, but the stakes of the story get higher and higher, so the original villain look like silly billies. Is that similar to like the villain becomes an ally, but when they become an ally, they become like essentially nerfed? Is it literally based on the whole carp jumps over the waterfall because the dragon kind of thing, but the worm takes over the apple core? Maybe. Thank you for Team Rocket for inventing queer people. I think queer people existed before Team Rocket, but they certainly put a spotlight on them. I'm definitely willing to be like, they definitely added to the popularity. Because you could be like them, and then you'd be like, oh, I know them. Oh my gosh. So yeah, this was GTFO, and then this was Classrooms, which was a magic school bus reference. This is Miss Frizzle, specifically the dinosaur like outfit, Miss Frizzle. You like the GTFO one? Good, good. I'm glad. I like this one, but it's a bit. It definitely goes kind of back to my OG costumes where it was just drawn outfit over Mama Dodo. My favorite trope is when the male characters' disguises are always dresses and the girls are like a suit. No, but I like this one. Hold on, I'll show you the costume real quick. Miss Frizzle dinosaur dress. Hold on. Let's open it in a open image in new tab. Oh my gosh. How about something that's not here? I'll just. Where are you? Where are you? Here it is. Boop. Yeah. This is dinosaur dress. This is the dinosaur dress. This one in particular was the one I was used for. Please, what is considered a normal idealist stream, Puff? What do you classify as a normal stream? Because I don't know if I've ever had one of those. Gonna be real with you. It's like days since idealist has been normal. 0 days. What I'm done with. What is normal? In the first hour is a normal stream. Oh, 100%. Listen, I like yapping with y'all in the first hour, and I think y'all do too. It's quoting the bitches quotes thing. Oh, no way! Oh, Puff, you're too smart. Puff, you're too smart for me. You're too smart. It was a perfect reference. It was a perfect reference. Do not feel bad. I'm just stupid. And I'm normal idealist streams that doesn't get derailed at all, right? Proves I haven't watched it. Oh, I highly recommend the Magic School Bus. Granted, I don't know how well it's aged, but I imagine it ages pretty okay because it's educational. It's what was it, like edutainment or whatever the fuck it's called? I never watched Magic School Bus, but I was watching Masha and the Bear and stuff. Masha and the Bear? What the heck is Masha and the... Oh no. Oh no. What is this? What? What? Yeah, this missed me. This missed me by a long shot. It looks, guys, this would haunt my nightmares. This would give me night terrors about dolls. Like, this is 100% Uncanny Valley for me. It's like, oh no. Masha I thought the pink oatmeal stuff with slush sorbet ice cream, and I really wanted to eat it. Yeah, I missed this one, guys. Gotta be real. Mine was Magic School Bus, Bill Nye the Science Guy, Dexter's Laboratory, Kids Next Door. Like, it's in that little segment of TV. I think the difference between generations should just be, what did you watch when you were a kid? That's it. Literally nothing else. It's just, what did you watch growing up as a kid? I watched Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. This one looks more familiar, but I did not watch this. I am at least recognizing these, but I did not watch this. This was not on my repertoire of shows. And Harry and his bucket full of dinosaurs, because of course. Harry and his bucket full. Is that the full name? I didn't need to watch. For me, it was Land Before Time. Harry and his bucket full of dinosaurs. Oh, I actually I know 100% why I didn't watch this. Not realistic enough. I was a snooty dinosaur lover when I was a kid, where if it wasn't realistic, I didn't want it. More real, the better. Like, the closest I ever got to not real dinosaur looking stuff was Land Before Time. Land Before Time. This is the Land Before Time, by the way. And, like, real life idealist fun fact. Did you know? You probably didn't know because I never mentioned it. The first stuffed animal I ever got, ever, in my life, I was 1 year old, like my first Christmas when I was alive, was a Littlefoot stuffed animal. Wish I saw some American shows when I was younger. Honestly, they go pretty well. Spiderus? No, what is Spiderus? Oh, why'd you let me Google that? Why did you let me Google that? I needed both an arachnophobia warning and like a mannequin warning at the same time for that image. Like, I somehow need to fuse those two. Johnny Test Adventure Time. Okay, so Ace, you were in the second phase, the second like group, where I didn't grow up with it, but I really enjoyed it as a teenager, which is like Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, like Gumball. Like, that segment is such a good group of shows, but I didn't grow up with it. It was just something I enjoy as like a teenager / adult. Johnny Test was pretty okay. It was okay. It was all right. I remember watching a dinosaur documentary as a kid, and I vividly remember a shot where the Triceratops spears a T-Rex with his horn. Yeah! There's a shot from inside the T-Rex as the horn impales it. Yeah, I vaguely remember that as well, Ratty. Bro, that movie was my jam back in the day. Dexter's Lab and PPG was peak. Yeah! Powerpuff Girls was really good. So, you know what? Here's a little bit of a freebie. Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls. The freebie is one of the people that we will meet that are like servants of a particular god in idealist lore is gonna be inspired by Mojo Jojo. This dude. I'm not kidding. You'll see it. This dude. It's gonna, you're gonna see it and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's it, that's the guy. Grew up with one of the Land Before Time sequels where they need to stop. How many Land Before Time movies are there? I think I only saw the first 3. Land Before Time movies. Holy shit. So this is the one that I grew up with. I remember seeing this one, The Great Valley Adventure, The Great Giving. I don't think I saw 96. So we have 4, 8, 12. Hold on. There's 14. There's 14 ones. Oh my god! We need to watch them, guys. We need to go through all of the Land Before Time movies. We just need to watch all of them. Oh my gosh, Harry McClary from the Donaldson Dairy. What the frick? What did you just say to me? Did you cast a spell? Harry McClary from the What is this? From the Dumbledore. So it's like a dog? It's like a dog children's book from the looks of it? I mean, listen, for 14 movies, it's gonna be more than that. I don't think I ever read this. You know what the books that I grew up with? Dinotopia. Like this is what I grew up with. Like Dinotopia, and then I also had a lot of just like dinosaur bone books, and like just like as realistic of the dinosaurs as I could get it. The more real the better. I'm searching for an old movie, but all I know is it had a cat and it was old. Inspector Gadget. No, it was like a super deep voice. It was like, "I'll get you, Inspector Gadget." I don't know how that person managed to do that voice for that long. They must have needed breaks. Oh gosh, it wrecks my voice though. He definitely had to get that low. I will not do that. I will not do that voice for anyone. Petson and Findus? Honestly, let's switch to just chatting at this point. We're just doing this. Petson and Findus. Interesting. I have not seen this at all. But then again, you guys are talking in an ancient language, right? Findus, find Petson. I feel like this is activating a very old neuron. I might have seen this. I don't know what this is about, but I imagine it's some kind of show trying to act on it. Findus and the Fox, a year with Findus. Yeah, I don't know why his name is in Latin, but I mean, who isn't, am I right? Is HBO's Crashbox? Bratty childhood trauma moment. Was watching a dinosaur documentary as a kid and the topic of Dinosauroid came up. Oh no, you saw the Dinosauroid. And there was a shot of the narrator next to the window and the reflection was a Dinosauroid that spoke with a distorted voice. Oh my god. Now, let me tell you about the one that terrified my brother. This is not anything to do with dinosaurs, but he was the Crypt Keeper. This dude. This was the Crypt Keeper. He was like that. He was like a Halloween mascot for like from like a show, and terrified my brother. And it got so bad that my mom wrote to like the agency. It was just like, hey, can you like not show this guy anymore? Because we would have like a good time eating dinner, and then he would show up in a commercial, and then he would just cry. Oh yeah, no, I don't even want to know what kind of ads I'm going to be getting soon. It's going to be like Crypt Keeper doll that you can put into your house or something. New season Fiona Kick is so good. My goat Huntress Wizard is getting actual screen time. Let's go, Huntress Wizard! And good to know, honestly. Like, listen, I want more. Any way to get more shows that I love like that. I hope one day we can get more Owl House. I know that's not going to be a thing, but I really am sad about the whole Owl House thing. For those that don't know, Owl House is a very good animated show that had a lot of promise. Think like Harry Potter, but lesbian and good. And they ended up like stopping it. There are rumors, I'm not saying this is the reason, but there are rumors that the reason they stopped it is because there was a like lesbian couple in it, and Disney didn't want to move forward with it. That's the rumor. I'm not confirming, but it's because I didn't even read it. I just accepted it. I shouldn't have done that. I should have read it first. Isn't creator of Owl House working at Glitch? I think so. Yeah. Haunted Crypt Keeper doll, which, by the way, if y'all haven't seen it, y'all need to watch the new Glitch stuff. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing right now, which is supporting like indie like projects and stuff. They're really doing a good job with that kind of stuff. I'm just praying to any kind of deity in existence that it doesn't turn out that they're doing sketchy shit, because I'm really a fan of them currently. But that's how it always happens. I'm like super big fan about somebody and what they're doing, and then something comes out, and it happens every damn time. So fingers crossed, Glitch is not. It's just is amazing and great as they appear to be. Haunted Creeper doll that drinks all your Pepsi and calls you a bitch. It's really funny. Hope that Holly Knight of the Universe get green light for a full show. Same. There's no way it's not. Like, people loved it. People were. I loved it. Are you kidding? It made me feel so inspired, dude. It's crazy. Harry Potter, but ready to turn 180 on political compass, right? And Gwynniverse is creative. As creative director, I'll keep saying it. Dana Terrace is a legend. I'm really bad at keeping up with people. I'm glad to know about Dana Terrace is like the spearhead of it, and I need to learn more about what kind of projects that they've been on. And that's kind of like the I also had to look up something to keep in mind. Don't follow companies, follow people. So like the things that have made the things that you loved, don't follow that particular company that made it. Follow the people that have made that thing happen, because people transition to different areas, and that company can still making the thing. Oh, like me, yeah, Dragon. Thank you. I don't know how people can remember the names of actors and directors and all that, bro. I can barely remember the names of my family members. Yeah, no, same. Hard same. Oh gosh, what were we even talking about, dude? Oh, we were talking about Magic School Bus, and we started talking about all that kind of stuff. I remember. Oh my gosh, man. All right, so that was the classrooms, because it was the classrooms. I wanted a teacher costume, so the teacher was Miss Frizzle. That was the encompassing thought train here. And then we have the ghost one. And the ghost one, hold on. It's a little difficult when there's actually like things. There we go. That's a little better. So the idea behind the ghost one was a light, a black light where you only get to see the costume when the light is on. And it probably could have been done better if the writing was always there, but then when the light came on, the Dodo costume showed up. But I mean, I like it. This was for Phasmophobia, by the way, which is the second Phasmophobia costume that we've made so far. I think I honestly like the idea of it, but the execution was a little. We could have done more with it, I think. So we got this one, and then we have flashlight. Looks like a microphone. It does look like a microphone a bit. I did have a tough time making a flashlight look like a flashlight. Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends, it was so peak. Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends, what? Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends. Oh, okay, this one. Yeah. Okay, Spider Friend. Okay, so this is the Spider Friends. I vaguely remember seeing this. I don't think I ever watched it. I don't think I ever watched this, but I do remember seeing it. Okay. So we have that, and then we have our new updated look outside. And this one I'm actually really I really like how this turned out. I don't like how it's animated. I'm willing to say that. The fact that it doesn't go through the full rotation when I'm like taking breaths between words, I really like it. And I'm really excited to build more of it over time. As the mindset is, the more this game is updated, the more I will show you what is on the other side of this lore. In the Mama Dodo lore will get smaller and smaller, and then it will become like more, you'll see more of the body over time. But I'm gonna try to keep talking so that you can kind of see it all the way. This one looks smooth if you have continuous talk, right? The issue is that I wanted to go through the whole animation regardless of when I'm stopped talking. Oh, see, yeah. So it's less to do with my animation and more to do with the program that turns on and off doesn't allow a continuous animation when I'm done talking, unfortunately. Can you not tune VideoTube to be more sensitive? Volume specifically? No, not with this one specifically. I would have to change it for the whole thing, or yeah. I was hoping there was a button that made it so that it would go through a full loop before transitioning back, but I didn't see that option. So maybe that's something that I will request of them for something like this. But overall, I really like it because I want to show. Let's see if I can try to capture it. I'm gonna do a little snip, and then that way I can kind of show y'all the end result of it. Okay, it was a little delayed. A little delayed. I'll get it. I will get it. Okay, got it. Boom. All right. Okay. Boom. All right. This is it in its full glory. So like you see that like, oh, you have like multiple different eyes, which is the same Mama Dodo eyes. You see multiple different kind of like dodo heads starting to poke out. So you know, like this isn't the only one. It's like, it seems to be like an amalgamation of it. And I wanted to kind of feel like these are like very long fangs, similar, aka anglerfish Mama Dodo amalgamation is what I'm going for here. So I thought this actually kind of turned out really well. Whereas like you have multiple eyes, even the pupils are a little like weird and like coming in from different angles and stuff. So I really like how it turned out. I really think it was cool. And we struggled playing the game a bit, but I thought that we definitely saw stuff that we didn't see before that I thought was really cool. Yeah, it's really good. It's just the issue is the program that I'm utilizing isn't properly allowing is holding it back in that aspect. So that's something that I'll probably put a request of like, hey, can we make it so that the animation will continue to fruition all the way to the end, regardless if I've stopped talking or not. And then it'll just keep going if I continue talking. Because you're right in the sense that I can put the sensitivity, or we can make it so that the sensitivity for that particular one is within that specific costume. Because as of right now, so let's see here. If I do like this, and then I go like here at 7 or 6.2 and go back here, it's still at 6.2. So right now it's at like 10%. And I could leave it a little bit lower, but it's kind of, you know. Then it like picks up like background noise. It picks up like me breathing. It becomes a lot more of like, I don't want Mama Dodo to open her mouth, be like a mouth breather, right? All right, and now our last one. This is Mama Dodo with a new repo monster. So for those that don't know, this is like Love Repo Monster. Yeah, it was like Heart Hugger, I think is what it was called. Heart Hugger. Yeah. So this is what it looks like in game. So what happens inside the game, Bobby is also doing a stream. Ooh, okay, cool, good to know. If Bobby's still streaming, we'll raid them after we're done. But no, what this one is like, it's like this weird Venus flytrap, and then it sprays you with like this pink mist, and then you get like intoxicated, and then they become like these little lovely like heart things, and you go up to them, and as soon as you get close, they clap down on you and do damage to you. So I was like, ooh, that could be fun little Mama Dodo thing that whenever I talk, it's like, ooh, it's lovey, it's Mama Dodo, and then as soon as you stop talking, you see like what ends up happening. I personally like the Gambler. I didn't see the Gambler. I really wanted the game was not giving me the new monsters like I wanted it. Oh no, you were soaked to death, nearly choked to death. No, Foxy, feel better. So I all I knew is that what I wanted was to make a new costume for Repo with the new monster update, which meant like, ooh, I already made a monster Mama Dodo with the Apex Predator. I want to make a new one made up of one of the new guys, and this is the one that I chose. And I think at the very least the talking one is really good. The not talking one is too still. I think there needed to be a couple of frames or maybe some line wobbliness for the not talking one. I also think that the mist needs to like move around a bit. So I think the not talking one needed to have been animated. But that's just me being nitpicky. Anyway, Mama Dodo says it's time for an ad break, so let's do that, and then we'll go into detail as far as how we went about that GTFO stuff, and then maybe even fix the whole check-in thing to make sure that it actually like counts. That would actually be a good way to go about it. All right, I'll see y'all in 3 minutes. See y'all in a sec. I need to get myself some water. Be right back. I am back with water and a banana because I haven't eaten today. I'm sorry. As I said, I literally got out of bed like 15 minutes before stream, so I didn't have time to eat. But I got a banana, so I'm eating something. But Dragon, to answer your question, I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm thinking of doing a tier list, and every time that we do spring cleaning, and use the tier list as a way to, as a more interactive way to determine what stays and what doesn't. You can what? Hear me? All right, welcome back. I'm eating a banana. Nice to meet you. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention, because Dragon mentioned the second generation costume tier list stream after 1 year, where I plan on doing a tier list stream every time that we need to do spring cleaning. So, and that's how we determine what we keep and what we don't keep, is a tier list. This time we're going to do a combination of my tier list, we're going to do a combination of y'all's tier list. It's like I'm putting all this information together, where it's, I'm looking at, in fact, let me show you. There's one other thing. Hold on. Get rid of this. Here it is. If you look here, this is another thing that I keep track of. I don't know if y'all know this. This is the amount of times y'all have redeemed a particular costume. Not every one of them, obviously, but like most of them, a significant portion of them, right? I also keep track of this as far as which ones y'all have been redeeming throughout the stream. So if y'all want to have a costume like survive spring cleaning in addition to your own tier lists, like redeeming what y'all are actually redeeming plays a huge weight on this. Now there's some things in mind, like the chef and the Slotto, which I know is what you meant instead of Sudo. Where's Mama Slotto? Colt's Curse, Duck Pie, Chill. Where is it? Am I blind? Chef, Colt, Cursed. Yeah, 2. Yeah, here it is. Listen, listen. I didn't say I could see. No, the thing about the chef and the Mama Slotto is the fact that they just came out. Like, it just got out there. So, like, that's very different than the mechanic that's been out there for like 8 months, right? So, like, that's something to keep in mind as well, as like how long have they been out there, right? But like, for instance, yeah, recency disadvantage, exactly. So that's something that I have in mind. So like, a good way of going about it is that I might divide it by how many months it's been out. So like, the Mama Slotto was like 2. Revive Mama Slotto. Okay. So now we have not only do I have Zoocosis, but I also have I need to bring back Zoocosis. I need to break Mama Slotto. People love the mechanic, dude. But also you have to realize that, like, revive Mama Ditto, revive Mama Slotto. So at the very least, on top of the way that the revives are going to work is that we still are going to do the top 10, except the first 2 additional slots on top of the top 10 is going to be now Zucosis, and Slotto. Where's your Walter White Mama Dodo? That's still in the process of being made. Of a bunch of different ones. I don't know if y'all noticed this. On the charity thing goals, one of them was a catch-up stream goal tier, which if we reached that, I would have done additional streams just to catch up on redeems for y'all. Because it's literally the mindset was just like, we're gonna make you do this one way or another. And unfortunately we didn't get past the goal, but I also had like goals that extended beyond that, and one of the ones on there was karaoke stream, and I was like, there's no way, but that goal was like going to be like $500 or something, because I really don't want to do a karaoke stream. But I'll do it. You finished a Queen diss track? That's funny. Hell yeah, Foxy. That's so funny. I love it. I can't wait to hear it. Yeah, Foxy. I don't know why. Wait, why did you have beef with Queen again? I honestly forget. Yeah, no, like there was something that happened during the 24-hour stream, and Foxy ended up having beef with Queen. But anyway, so that's one of the things. So what we're gonna go over real quick. Not real quick. It's not going to be quick. Again, it's a yes or no question, Foxy. It's a yes or no. It has to be yes or no. So, how exactly did I manage to do this one? So, no clue. See, even she doesn't remember. No. All right. So for this one, we have no joke. So what you'll need to do this in order to do something like this, you need StreamerBot, you need OBS, and then VietoTube. It utilizes all three. So, oh, and also I'll also go over. It didn't go well. I will mute myself for a quick. It was also this mic. We also were going to use this mic. No, hold on. We were going to use this.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Oh, I need to turn that off. But I will tell you a fun fact. But yeah, this helmet sound was also part of it. I'll also show off that one. Yeah, it was muffled because we had our helmet on. But yeah. Let's switch it back. Fun fact. Let's see, what's a good fun fact? Fun fact is, what was it? I had it for a split second. It was something to do with sickle cell anemia. Oh yeah, sickle cell anemia is a biological way to fight plasmoid. Is it plasmoid osmosis? What was it? What's it called? It's the parasites that come in through mosquitoes that infect blood cells. So sickle cell anemia is a way to fight the parasites that come in through mosquitoes. So it's actually a disease that is caused through an adaptation. Very interesting. More pistol shrimp facts. I'll also give you a pistol shrimp fact. I already talked about the bright light. We talked about submarines hiding with the sonar. Pokemon Cluster is based around the pistol shrimp. There it is. There you go. There's your fun fact for the pistol shrimp. So, okay. So this is how it's gonna go.
So the way this works is I set up a completely different mic called an event mic, and then I made additional filters to go on top of it. So this is the filters that I use, by the way. I use noise suppression at negative 30 decibels. That's on all my mics in general. All right, Dragon. Good luck on your job applications. And then we have two additional ones. We have the helmet sound, which completely reduces our high, reduces our medium, but increases our low, and that's what gives us this muffled sound here. And that's what it's the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to sound like we were actually like whispering in a helmet inside the game, and we were trying to go around like the for those that don't know the game of GTFO is a game where you're supposed to go around, sneak around, and kill like these infected zombie-like creatures, but if you're too loud, they swarm you and you die. So I wanted it to feel like we were really in it through this kind of interaction. So I wanted a helmet to make it sound like it. Unfortunately, the feedback that I got while I was using it was that it was too difficult to understand me when I was both muffled and trying to be quiet at the same time. So I had to turn it off. It's unfortunate. I think if I was able to mess with it a little bit more, I could have made it work, but for what we had, it just didn't work out. So then this is the big one. This is a trigger called a sound trigger. So I have a OBS extension applied called the move. It was like the move action. So this will allows things to like move around. This is why this is the dodo potion drinking. This is like stuff being moved around on screen. It's due to this OBS extension. I forget the exact name of it, but it's like move action or something like that. And this particular one is a move action. What the move is triggered by an input or with a verbal input. So I do input peak true, and then what will happen is that it will turn on or off a source, right? So what I had in my events folder or in my events thing is something that I named hold on. Atlas Stone for GTFO interaction. Literally just like a image like source with no image, that the whole point is to turn this on and off. That's it. Because all I'm using it is kind of like a pinpoint where StreamerBot can read something turning on and off, and that's it. So this turns on if it goes above a certain peak, and then turns off when it goes below a certain peak. And that's it. That's what this source does. All right. But then the magic of StreamerBot happens. Okay. And we have GTFO sound positive, we have GTFO sound visible, and GTFO sound negative. So sound positive, what the source is that event that we saw before, that we made that source. We make it so that the scene item state changed. So whenever a state changes in OBS, it triggers this action. And then I have an if else logic for the sub action. For those that don't know, if else is a very simple logic for coding, and in this case for StreamerBot, where basically is if this happens, then this happens, or if it doesn't, then this other thing happens. That's about it, right? So in this case, it takes the scene name, in which in my scene name is events, and if my events, if it's true, if the thing turning on and off is in the value events, and if it's true, then we go to sound visible. If it's not true, then it breaks. And what break means just means that it just stops. It's just a hard stop. That's it. Basically, if anything turns on and off, if it's in the event scene, then we move forward. If it's not, then we ignore it. So then we go to sound visible. And this is kind of one where I added it eventually after, because it was causing multiple things happening, especially when I go above and then below, because it triggers when it's seen, and then it triggers again when it's no longer seen. I only want it triggered when it's seen, right? So same deal, same situation, boom. Actually, this explains why it was doubling up, now that I think about it. Okay, so this one should not have had this here. Anyway, point is, positive leads to visible. Now this one, it has to be, the value has to be true. The scene item enabled needs to be true, aka it needs to be on. It needs to be turned on. If it's turning off, this isn't the case, and then it stops. Right? It's a way to make it so it's not double dipping anymore. And then if it's good to go, and if it is true, so if it's from events, and if it's visible, then we go to negative. And that this one does is that the item ID is 30. Now, what does that mean? The item, when I do this trigger, hey Puff, you're good. You were just getting driven to school. It's quiet, it's fine. We're just going through the process of how we actually managed to make the GTFO interaction work. Let me know if you want me to go back a little bit and restart a little, but you just let me know. Point is, the quote-unquote Atlas stone that we were turning on and off, that's why I called it an Atlas stone, by the way. It was essentially a useless thing that I just needed something to turn on and off, but if it's gone, it does not work. So that's why I'm like, Atlas stone. When I go and redeem it, it shows which value it is, and so that specific PNG that I'm turning on and off OBS has told us that the value is 30. Like, so each little, I think it probably means it's the 30th item that I've added in the events folder, or in the events scene, probably, something like that. Anyway, so 30 is the thing that we're turning on and off. And then once that's the case, then I think right now I'll be back again later. Okay, see ya, Puff. So then we turn our filter safe off, or our filter for our voice to turn it off, because we don't want it to double trigger. Then we want to turn the GTFO alert visible, and what that is, that's our sound, right? That's our caught emote kind of deal. Then it switches to the other costume. It switches to this. So that's why there's just like the ding, and then it switches to that. Then we delay for a minute, or not a minute, we delay for a second. Then we do a GTFO, or I have the other movement. There's like another movement thing called GTFO alert that I did. Oh no, I know what it is. Then we have to turn the sound back to invisible so that we'll be able to turn it back on later. Then we make it so that it moves. Here, see, I'll show you. So then it just moves. Whoop. See? That movement is something that was was another filter that I put on there as well. And then the sound of the jump scream, like that came out, right? Then we delay for 3 seconds. Then we go make the sound of the jump screen go back to hidden, and then we go back to our original position. Then we go back to our original costume, which is another hotkey. And then we actually have
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
wrong ones. Start a war. I was looking at this scream, scared me. Sorry. This is the other thing that we also had going on, which was a tracker of how many times it happens. So I completely forgot about this one, by the way. It is we also have a GTFO tracker. So GTFO death counter is we arbitrarily make a global value called GTFO deaths, and then we essentially make it so that whenever that happens, it adds 1. And then it just does that. Like, you just increases with 1 every single time it happens. All right, who wins? For the ducks! Let's go ahead and do boop. There we go. So we do the death counter, so it goes up by 1. I also introduced one in case things get a little, like, something breaks. I also have like a reset death counter, so I could just boop. See, goes back to normal there. And then then we turn everything back on like it's normal, and it's ready to be activated again. So that's the whole complicated process of just doing that one little interaction. I had to, I was considering downloading a completely different program because there was no way for me to get volume being a trigger of something, and this is like a weird roundabout way of just trying to get a voice volume being a trigger. A lot of if-then statements, a lot of utilizing tools that I don't know was intended for that use, but we're here anyway. Oh man. But yeah, no. So while we have this open, because we've been doing it for a hot minute now, let's do. No, that's chat created. Let's do checker. Where did we have it? Daily check-in. Welcome. So daily check-in, it's persistent. See, here's the thing. It says persistent here. Welcome back. I'm trying to fix the daily check-in, because as of right now, it persists kinda, but it only persists in a way of it doesn't. When I close OBS, when I close StreamerBot, it doesn't stay. Trying to push my brain to be productive at things at 8 p.m. seems to not work. Then don't. If you try to force it, it's probably shit, you know? It's better to make sure that you've streamlined the process for tomorrow and make it so that you can just hop right into it without any kind of friction than it is probably to just try to force it to it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Dragon. Exactly. It's better to kind of do something else. As long as you're doing something, I think it matters. And especially exercise helps, really gets the blood flowing into the brain. So, hell yeah. So we have that. Then we increment by 1. Then we get the user variable, or and then it's like, yeah, you checked a blank amount of time, sit back, relax. So what I'm worried is that there is no way to. Oh, I wonder. Okay, I apologize. It might reset things. What if we make the default not 0? Hold on. Let's have me do a check-in. Okay. And then we're gonna do it again. Oh, right. I can only do it once. Well, shit. Let's remove the thing for right now. Just because I show something I shouldn't be showing. Hold on. Oh boy. Why is the display capture? Why is that like that? There we go. I was gonna say. I know we had something else in the background. Like, damn. Alright, we're gonna not have any cooldowns temporarily. Don't go too crazy with it now. Okay, display. So now we do it again. Okay. And now I'm gonna exit it. I was actually productive the whole day and not just around 3 or 4 hours. To be honest, Dragon, can I be real with you? I could only really be productive 4 hours of a day. Any more than that, it tends to be pushing it. I just don't think, like, and again, full honesty, Dragon, working at a, like, 8-hour job, more than likely, like, you'll maybe work 2 to 4 hours of intense focus, maybe. Granted, it depends on the job, right? But I think anything that demands more than that is going to burn you out. People are not meant for 8 hours a day of intense focus. All the rest of the time is either food or talking with people or like all that other kind of stuff. So don't try to make it so it's like it has to be 8 hours a day. You need to listen to your own limits as far as how much you're able to put of yourself into something, and you need to respect those limits. Because I really struggled for a long time being like, why can't I get more than 4 hours out of myself in a day? Like, sometimes I would do 6, but then I would need breaks. Then I would need to take days off. Sometimes I would be able to do 8. Sometimes I would be able to do 9, but then I would have to take days off. Yeah. For me, I'm pretty sure it's 4. I'm pretty sure 4 is the most. And that's two. So usually it takes about an hour, and each like cycle of high concentration is about an hour and a half. At least it is for me. And so that's about around 2 or 3 cycles in a day of just hyper focus, getting shit done, like moving forward with that. And then I could take a break and then hop back in. You know, I could do that, but every single time that I've consistently done that, the faster and faster I've needed to take days off for breaks. So if you're looking for like marathon level, I want to be consistently productive, like consistently, you need to be able to know your own limits as far as like how many hours in a day to do that. And maybe certain like, and not all productivity is created equal, in the sense of like, okay, so it takes 3 to 4 hours to do high focus on one thing, but there might be another thing that you can work on that you can do a lot more in. So like a good example of this is that technically having meetings and collaborating with other people is work. It is work. But to me, that's not part of the 3 to 4 hour limitation. That's not part of that. Collaborative work is not in that kind of mind space, is using like different parts of the brain. So you can do more of that. Okay, now let's see if this works. Okay, so that still didn't work. So we want, so this default value is 0. If destination is left empty, the value will be stored as a global variable name, etc. Okay. So default 0. Defaulting it to 0 isn't it. Well, I want to keep it forever. Daily check-in is a persistent global. If I do this, okay, all right. Hold on, let me see this. Let me check Dragon real quick. Yeah, you've checked in 8 times. So, hold on. Have I just been referencing the wrong thing? I think it is. I've been doing the wrong thing. Hold on. Let me check you, Foxy. Hold on. Foxy the Fox 10 times. You've been doing 10. And what I will say, Foxy, if you spam it because there's no cooldown right now, I will reset you specifically. I will set you back down to 1. Do not tempt me. All right. So here's the thing. Okay. All right. Bet. All right. Okay. Okay. I'll just buy more. You know what? You only get 2 now. You can all thank Foxy for that. Yes. All right. So now if we look at our action history, for those that have no idea what I'm talking about as far as action history, you can, after you redeem something, you can go into action history and look at all the variables here. This is what you can redeem, but this is what it is. So the way this is, user, I think the way this is going to work is that it would be user, is it username or user ID? Here we go. Username. So we could potentially do this. Hello, welcome. Hold on. I think I need to. Here we go. Let's take a snip of that. Okay. Checked in. We'll put this here so that I can still read it. User. This is gonna be kind of weird. User underscore. User name underscore name. Parentheses. Daily check-in. That's gonna be wild if this works. User underscore username daily check-in. Was that okay? Username is not underscore there. It's just user then name. There we go. Okay. Now. Yeah. Let's see here. So that didn't work. I was hoping you could put a variable in a variable. You cannot do that. Let's do username instead of user. Can I do this? Is this one? I can't. Oh, dang it. Wish I could just... You know what? You know what? This will do. This is what we'll do. Right now it's weird, 7 p.m. and there's a karaoke happening in one of the rooms. That's uni, all right. Nope. So we want user the blank. No, we should stick with user. User's fine. Yeah, he's trying to be productive. Get user specific daily check-in. I think that's the issue. This is default value 0. We have a daily check-in value. We increment it by 1. I think what we need is a global set? No. Because this does work to a degree, right? Plus you don't know the people. That's true. Value is 8. The daily check-in for me is 8. So... Oh, I know. Can I just do, like... this? I'm allowing that. That's funny. Sup, hoes? How's it going? Sup, hoes? Oh my gosh. And... dang it. I think destination variable is left, and so it would be sort of a global variable name or username variable name. This is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do as daily check-in. Why does daily look weird? Did I spell that wrong? Now let's see it. Okay, someone else do it. Foxy, I know you're in chat. I know you want to do it. Do it. How when I join the one that tells you to do. Sweet. Okay. It works. All right. 1 per stream. And Foxy. It's just testing it works. Uh-huh. Sure. Listen, you've been a real pal, so I'll let you keep your number. But know that at any point I can just go in here go to your number specifically. And I could just change this number to whatever I want. I can change this back. I can shoot you back down to 2. Oh gosh. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. I know, right? Spy Fox here. But no, it works. Hell yeah. We fixed it. Isn't that great? All we had to do was actually give it a destination variable. Imagine that. But yeah, there we go. So check-in is now fixed. How do we feel about the announcement, by the way? A part of me wants to like have it not be in chat, but instead it be like on the user side of stuff. So let's see if there's a way to like send local signal. That ain't it. Nope. So much that it was my default and I'm not sure. Very stupid. Hey, yo, same. High five. Users, clear users from group, voice control. I'm just kind of looking around to see if there's a way to like send because there was something up here when we were gonna do the Gamba that it was like, oh, it will like send them a like a message, but specifically only to them. User current, unable to, no, timed actor, set points. Is it this one? Send message. That's send message to channel. No. Read through 1/4 of the book and only realized afterwards it was about a lesbian relationship. Wives Under the Sea is wild. The title, the name of the book didn't give it to you? Uh-huh. You don't say. What was it? User current. Set Twitch message. Is it this? No, it's still send message to whatever. I thought there was a way to send a message like not daily check-in. Hold on. Charity chat. I thought Mary protag name was short for Miriam. Okay. Sure. Uh-huh. Well, you're not beating the allegations. Send message to channel, followers, moderation, predictions, rates, rewards, sub-counter, subscribers, tags, user groups. See, yeah, I don't think there's a way to do it. Enjoy lurking, Puff. I don't think there is a way for me to reply to message, clear chat messages. The what allegations? Your own allegation that you're stupid. But I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing you. I don't think you're dumb. You try way too hard to be dumb. Not try too hard to be dumb. You try too hard on stuff to be dumb. Add a little bit of clarification there. Lesbian couple. Send an announcement to channel. Send a message to channel.
Send a message to channel, and then this one. Yeah, no, okay. Okay, so are we fine with this? Welcome, user. You've checked in blank amount of time. Sit back, relax, and hop in and join the fun. Either way, welcome in. I want to make it so that it sends a message just to them, but not to the whole chat, because it does flood the chat a bit. And that's kind of the part where it's just like, I want it to send it to the person, the individual. I don't want everyone gonna be whispered. Ooh, that's a good question. Can it be whispered? Chat, clear chat, reply to message. Could be reply to message? No. Let's see here. Streamer bot. Can you whisper to a user? You may whisper a maximum of 40 unique recipients per day. Okay. Where? Trigger a Twitch whisper. Right limits, maximum message lengths are message must succeed. Okay, but where? Trigger for Twitch whisper. Can it be something? Can I just look it up? Can I like be like, oh, so Wormst, exactly. Wormst. Is it maybe only on a trigger? Chat. Yeah. You can do it's a trigger, but it's not in action. Whisper to a user as a sub action. Oh, here we go. Nutty Live, by the way, is where I learn a lot of my OBS stuff.
So someone wanted to know, how do we get StreamerBot to send private whispers to people? So
yeah,
to give you an example for why you'd want to do this, say you have like a private Discord server and you want to make a chat command that when you press !Discord, instead of actually posting your Discord link into Twitch chat where everyone can see it, you can set up StreamerBot to whisper that link to the person so only they can see it. Or maybe you can make like a sub-only Discord channel that whenever someone subs, whoever just subbed, it will just send them a whisper to their private Discord. So you can
you
that
hear this?
in StreamerBot. I'm going to show you how to do it, but there
Okay,
are
good.
some caveats that you need to be aware of. So here's what it looks like. So here's my StreamerBot. Here's the StreamerBot action. Now, if you want to add this to your setup, I'll leave a link in the description of where that is. I actually don't know where it is. Where is it?
Let's see here. The user of the Cinema Whisper must have a verified phone number. Hopefully y'all already done that. I think y'all need verified phone numbers in order to even talk in Twitch anyway. You may whisper a maximum of 40 unique recipients per day within the day limit. Set argument whisper name to username. Oh, I know why. We have to have the code. We have to code it.
Where's my GitHub page? Wait, let me pull out my GitHub page first. Chat, where's my GitHub page? GitHub. Okay. So if you go to the GitHub page down below, this lists a whole bunch of StreamerBot action templates that I've made for you guys. If you click on the one that says Whisper Template, and then click on Raw, you'll get this big scary string. Okay, it's scary.
It's pretty scary, guys.
Just copy all this, and then go into StreamerBot. Click on Import and just paste that whole scary string up here, and you'll see that it imports one action called Whisper Template. Okay, so just do that, and there's also like a chat command here as well, which we'll get to in a second. And that's gonna import this template. Now, what it looks like is you have 3 arguments here that you can change. You got your username, which you likely wouldn't want to change. You got your secret message that you want to put here. So this would be like the message that you want to privately send to someone. And then the last one is a whisper bot. So this just determines whether you send the whisper from your main Twitch account or whether you're sending it from your bot account. So it's
FYI,
in my case,
Paleomancer's Dodo is our bot. So a lot. That's why all our stuff is from our bot, because I want it so that Mama Dodo are the ones talking with y'all, in the sense of like making sure everything's working correctly.
Case, if I put it to false, it will send it from my Nutty account, and if I make the whisper bot true, it will send from my Nut Body account. Okay. Now all you have to do when you
I feel like that's a missed opportunity for a Nutty Buddy joke. Nutty Body. Just saying.
import this is you gotta edit this here and put in whatever your secret message is. And then also up here you gotta just add the trigger that you want this to trigger on. So I've already added I've added one for Twitch.
Oh, one thing I wanted to do real quick, just in case. Yeah, okay, good. It's looping. Good.
Sub. So when someone subs, it's going to send this message to them. Now I'm just gonna edit this and be like, "Hey, you're like pretty cute." That is all. Okay. And then I'm going to right click on this, and then I'm going to click test trigger. So if we look at my Nut Body account, this is going to be sending from my Nut Body account because it says true.
So I'm hesitant on doing this particular aspect of it because it seems a bit overkill. The daily check-in, I want it to be private message, but at the same time, it doesn't really need to be. Question for y'all. Do y'all is having that number be public so other people see how much you've daily done it? Is that part of the reason y'all enjoy it? So if I made it private, would it kind of remove some of the joy behind doing it in the first place? It's a flex. So you want it public. You want to let people know, like, hey, I've been doing this for like blank amount of times. So we don't even want to make it public or private because we wanted a flex. Or it could be one of those things where you do it and then you can lie to us and be like, guys, I've been doing this for 100 days. And I'm like, all right. Then let's not do that. That is absolutely fine. There was one other thing that I wanted to do. Nice, Foxy. I don't mind, but I see it as a good training for you to actually practice API, so I want it private. Don't worry, we can do some other things that are private. Let's what about follow age? That's one of the things that I wanted to mess with a bit. Follow age. It's not under commands. Was that like chat created? Yeah, it is. So the thing about follow age, or is follow age very similar to check-in in the sense of you want people to know? Or is follow age one of those things where it's just like, I'm just curious and I want to know? Is it a flex? Or is it not a flex? Pin which idea? The follow age stuff or the privatizing it? Or privatizing the daily. Sometimes I hate the delay on Twitch, dude. All this, all this, dude. So here's so this is like since blank, but what I kind of want is you've been following for blank amount of days. The whisper idea. Delay test. Delay test? Oh, you're testing the delay. Bro, I don't know what's up my brain today. Yeah, it's a solid good amount, because not only is it a delay for me saying it, it's me saying it, then y'all hearing it, and then y'all sending it back. It's a solid. It's a good delay. It's a good amount of delay. So I kind of want to do. Let's see here. Follow age Twitch. Let's follow date. How long are you been following a channel? Can't add comments like Let's see here. You can't add comments like followers directly to chat. You need to do it through the dots. Stream elements. Check their documentation. They usually have a simple instructions on adding commands. Right, so like exactly where it's like, oh, it's on a Sunday, August 24th, 2025. I don't need all that. I just want days. Because we got the follow age info of the target, right? So let's look at our action history. Is there one on here? Oh, here we go. Do you want to do follow age long? I mean, that's exactly what Fox was talking about. I followed for longer, but I actually unfollowed that day. No idea why. Honestly, sometimes Twitch unfollows you. It could have been a misclick, but sometimes Twitch just does that. It sucks. It does, but sometimes it just doesn't. Let's do follow age short. Oh, follow age days. Oh. Do we want to... Okay. Follow-up question. I know Fox specifically asked for it, but Dragon, I also want your input. Do you just want the days, or do you want months, days, minutes, and seconds? Do you want the whole spiel, or do you just want a shortened version? I don't know why I didn't check this, by the way. Or do y'all, instead of days, do you just want minutes, or do you want seconds? I feel like seconds could be annoying, but minutes could be funny. Because you're just like, how much? What is that's so specific? Follow age dot days? Interesting. Oh, I get it. So the dot is the specific things on there. The whole spiel. All right, whole spiel. Follow age short. We'll do that. I would consider long, but that's a lot. That's a lot to say that there. So we're going to do follow age short. Follow age short. That's not how you spell short, sir. All right. Follow age. I'm going to add a space there. And I'm going to remove a comma. Look at that. 2 months. 2 months, 12 days, 25 minutes, 29 seconds. Okay, so do we like this one? Or do we like this one? Do it again. Do it again. It's all just meters, right? Careful. You might scare away the Americans. AKA me. How's that one? Is that better? A little more clear to you? Again, it's partly... This is better? Okay. So, here's the question then. Look at that. 1 year, 2 months, 21 hours. Oh, man. How time flies, guys. Yeah. It's crazy that it's been a year. Isn't it, Puff? It doesn't feel like a year, does it? It doesn't for me. Y'all be like, this second year, by the way, has gone crazy fast. I feel like it was just like a couple months ago that we did our 1 year anniversary, and we're over halfway there for the next one. And I'm like, bro, I am so behind on my like goals for the year for like streamer stuff. It's honestly nuts. But yeah, so we got follow age fixed. We have that fixed. I'm fine with leaving these private. So you're 4 months away from opening the time capsule. I know, and I'm gonna be upset probably because I'm gonna be like, nothing. So much happened the first year, and not nearly enough happened the second. Well, it's not classic. What I originally wanted to do, I vaguely remember this. I wanted to get both updates out by the end of the year, the second year. I wanted our first song out. I wanted our first video out. I wanted emotes out. So like all the like custom animations and looks and stuff, I wanted that to be out, and then I wanted animations out. That's what I wanted. And I'm like, so for both. So not only we haven't even done the first one yet, but we haven't like, let alone like, yeah, add milliseconds and nah, I'm not going that far. In fact, I don't even think we could. Let's see. Yeah, it only goes down to seconds. It only goes down to seconds. So that's it. Any other? Well, is there a redeem that you want to be like a whisper message? And as much as I want to do API stuff, Dragon, unfortunately, this wouldn't really fall under. It would just be downloading a GitHub thing and applying it. It wouldn't be like me going in and coding. A crafty use of all petition for having all the Dota costumes as emotes. Crafty use of all costumes. The issue with that, Dragon, is that we are only allowed a certain amount of emotes. Unless, well, I'm a little confused. So as far as emotes go, we have only a certain amount of emotes that we can do via our channel, right? So if we look here, I can show y'all. I don't think, if it's spoiled, it's spoiled. I don't think I have anything going on, but let's see. Yeah, so this is what we have. We have 7 standard, 7 animated, 1 tier 2, and 1 tier 3. And then we have 3 bit tiers. In order to unlock more, we have to have more subs in a month, and or we have to get at least we have to get one person to bit 10,000 bits. That's the only way. So there's a lot that we do not. There's not a lot of slots. So on one hand, it's better than just having the hype one. You're right. So I guess the question is, do we want to fill in these slots with just stuff, like with our costumes, until there's an official emote stuff, or do we want to hold off on emotes until we have official emote stuff? Make a redeem that's named Whisper something to you and it's just randomly generate a message. Oh, what if we did the ask command be a whisper? So only you know the answer to it. No, I think it's fun for everyone to see it. I don't know. I'll think of something. Whispering was something for me. It was, I didn't want to clog up the chat, but if it seems both the things that we were working on today. Run a poll on the ones you would like to see as emotes. Should ask and be private, indeed. But then you can just lie. King, you're so flippy floppy. I didn't even say anything. Well, you're supposed to ask. You're supposed to ask a question. It's a magic 8-ball, but it's all the, not all, but like some of the summons. Excuse me. Sorry. Wait, shouldn't we have hit we need to hit a commercial break or something? Let's just do it. Okay. Quick commercial break. I'm gonna do a little bit of exercise. Everyone get some water, stretch, do what you need to do, go to the bathroom. See you all in a sec. I will finish this banana while I'm at it, though. There we go. What's this? Oh. Let's... Honestly, that's a really funny reaction to that answer. Woo. chair. Get out of the way. Alright. And welcome back. Let me just open up. I have like a tracker thing. But welcome back. How are you? Oh, really? There we go. Out of breath, as I always am. I need to do. Let's see here. I did 30 crunches, 14 push-ups, and 15 squats. I'm trying to keep track because I have a goal at the end of the week that I need to meet. Alright. So, welcome back. So we got follow age done. We have the checker fixed now. Both of them were involved with using the wrong variable, which is really on me. We considered the use of whisper, but we haven't found quite the right one. And then, oh, I remember what we were talking about. We were talking about emotes. So we were talking about how on this, we have a limited amount of emotes. One of the things that I want y'all's opinion on, is it better to have no emotes and wait for the emotes to come when it's lore accurate? Or would it be better to have just random BS not random, but like our own emotes that are like temp emotes that will get replaced when the lore catches up to it? How do we feel about that? And you can also kind of see here as far as the progress for the next one. So we get essentially two slots, an animated and a standard, for every 10 subscribers after the maximum. So originally this was 10, then it was 20, and then we got over 20, and then now it's 30. So if we get over 30, then we get 2 more. So currently we have to work with 7. We have 7 slots of non-animation, and then we have 7 slots of animated. So we would be able to do 7 of the custom ones. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do. Here's our Discord. Oh, gotta get that Discord. Let's throw out a poll. I want to do like that kind of stuff, like the other bits, the spring cleaning, but at the very least, I can wait a bit. I can wait a hot minute. So let's see here. At everyone, hope y'all are having a good day so far. A question that came up on stream today has me wonder y'all's opinion on the following question. As of right now, we don't really have emotes because I wanted the addition to them to be part of the lore videos that we will make in the future, so I haven't put any in. However, some of y'all after talking with y'all about it, I wonder if it's better to just have some temporary emotes in its place that doesn't need to be updated, but that doesn't need to be lore specific, that we run with until the new update. So let me know what how y'all feel about it. Oh, I think what we'll do, I kind of want to make a discussion. Where's feedback? Here we go. That's games to play. Let's do like no joke. That's important. Let's see here. Let's go to general. Yeah, in general, let's do a forum. Discussions. Can I like put a cap here? It's bothering me. Nope, I can't. Cool. Cool. All right, we'll just leave it at that. Feel about it. In discussions, I'll go ahead and do new post, title, what kind of emotes would y'all want to see? Not including I returned. Twitch bugged out. Apparently you were streaming of 111 30 minutes. I mean, man, if only. Imagine the ad revenue. What kind of emotes would y'all want to see, not including redeemed ones? So what I'm putting out right now, Dragon, is a poll to see if y'all want temporary emotes that isn't lore like tie-in, is like an interim between now and the like actual addition of the emote where it's lore reason, like kind of more like an official release of it, kinda, or would y'all rather just wait until the official release of it, right? If we were to move forward with adding emotes to Twitch, adding emotes to Twitch before the official release via lore video, what would you like to see? And I'm adding a discussion like thing, a forum for people to join in and talk about it, so that way there's like a center place where people can discuss it. Feel about it. I've made a new forum in general for discussions, with this being one of them. If y'all have an opinion one way or another. Okay. Create a poll. Should we make temporary... I can't spell temporary. Ignore that. Should we make temporary emotes until the official lore video comes out? And it will be, yes, I want to use emotes, even if they go away later when, or no, I want to use different emotes now. No, I want the ones that are, I want to use the emotes when, how do I want to pull it this? Neither of these are good options. We always want to have a third. FYI, in a poll, you want to make sure you give an option where it's like none of the above. No, I want to use the emotes when they are fully ready. I want to use different emotes now, even if they aren't. Use different emotes, different, yes, I want to use the temp emotes now. No, I want to use emotes when they are fully ready. Want to wait. Fully ready. Neither of these good options. Alright. There we go. Boom. Alright. That's in. So that's 24 hours. So what that will do, since that is out, is that will give us some insight of what to add in there. Because here's the thing. I have a list of emotes already of what emotes that I want to do. Because for those that don't remember, or don't recall, or weren't here when I talked about it, I want to make an emote for every game that we play. Like, just the calling of the experience of it. Like, a good way was eating. The eating Mama Dodo, where she eats the burger from Bug Snacks, and then her beak becomes a burger. Like, that would be our eat emote. And then we talked about as far as like the war emote, and then the duck armada, and then the zombie armada, like little emotes that were moments in experiences that we've done together, which would mean that there is going to be an ever increasing demand of emotes, that we're going to have a similar spring cleaning. Well, I mean, the small aspect of it is I've been working on these emotes as we move forward. That it's small because the reason it's big is because there's a sizable amount of things to catch up on. But gonna be honest, we played more games than we've had available slots. So already off the rip, what we're gonna have to do is take all the potentials and then vote on them, right? So like, all these are not going to be animated. Not all these are going to be like super high fidelity. A lot of these are just going to be images, because first of all, only 7 of them can be animated straight up. And then we have to decide which ones are going to be tier 2 and tier 3 specific as well. And which ones are going to be bits. Which bits is going to be difficult, because I don't like demanding money from y'all to express yourself. I don't like it. So it would have to be some kind of extra thing. But we can decide that later. But you're right, Dragon, in the sense that like, this is a lot, but that's part of the reason why it's taking a while. And why, at least on the second update, which is the emote update, the video itself is going to be a lot less of like a thing, because there's a lot more front load. But you could also say, as far as the workload with the first update is not small either, because it's about creating an custom animation for like all of our follow and our train and our sub and all that other kind of stuff is included in that. So these, the smart decision, Dragon, the smart decision is to, you're not being critical. You're not. You're aware of how I am as a person because you are similar like me. You're not being super critical. So I want to emphasize that you are not coming off any kind of negative way. I know it is, if anything, it is at a place of concern, and I appreciate that. No, this is the smart decision is to do each one individually over time and introduce it slowly in the stream over time. So like 1 month we'll get a follow animation, and next month we have a sub animation, the following month we have this, we have the following month we have this, and I'm trying to attempt to do that in the sense of it's more of a drip feed of content, but I'm tying it back in. But I'm not obsessed, but what I really, really want is to make it so that these things are tied in with the story and narrative and the lore of the thing that I'm trying to make. That I want it to feel like it's a living thing that is influencing the direction of this stream, influencing the direction of this content, and y'all's interaction with me influences that direction as well. Which kind of leads to a very interesting segue, because that's also a discussion that I wanted to have today with y'all. Especially now that October is done, because October was a lot. Between essentially streaming for a straight week, to dog sitting, to having the 24-hour stream. I'm still like recovering a bit as far as rest that I did not have, that I should have had during that time. But what I wanted to talk to y'all about is I'm having difficulty where what I want to do isn't something that I've been able to keep up with. And so kind of what you mentioned earlier, Dragonware, is just like the reasonable workload discussion, right? So to be completely transparent, what I want to do and move and how I want to present content in the future is I want the feeling that the idealist story and the idealist character and the world that is being created is happening in real time. It is something that y'all are interacting with, and almost to the point where it feels more like it's a character in a game, like an RPG, and you're like, as time moves forward, there's like events and seasons and like like vibes and like kind of like an ARG. Yeah, kind of like an ARG. And hold on, let me remind myself what the hell an ARG is. Alternate reality game. Yes, like I'm gonna spoil a little bit with y'all, and I apologize if this makes it a little less powerful. But Sunday chill days, what I imagine is you see Idealist full body riding on the back of a brontosaurus, and maybe not entirely, but a significant part of Sunday chill days is talking with me and spending time and just hanging out, while in the background you see us going around the mountain doing a patrol, and you see all the stuff happening in the background, and you see all the movement and all that kind of stuff, and it's just casual catch up where you just hang out while he goes on patrol. And that Sunday chill day is that feeling of just hanging out with a person or a character or however it may be, and like things that are happening that season are things that are influencing the stream in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know of anyone that does that. So I wish I could just be like, oh, this so-and-so does that. Just check out how they do it. And then I would check them out, and then I would be able to kind of get a good, figure out what good footing is. But as far as I'm aware, I'm kind of clearing my own way here. Kickstarter pitch, really? It would be, I think it's really cool. And I think there's something special about that. There's something special about having Idealist have this strange altercation with this alternate god, in that this god, again, spoilers, this god's gift is what allows emotes to happen. And then suddenly all the emotes get added at the same time. That's hype as shit. That's so cool. I love that. I love that so much more than just being like, here's some emotes. You know? There's weight to it. There's I don't know, man. I don't know. The goddess of everything? Is that the goddess of everything and the goddess of everything else or something? Because if so, I need to rewatch it. It's been a hot minute. It's been showing up on my feed. I think YouTube knows I need to watch it. It's like, bro, you need to rewatch this. Hey, Foxy, how you doing? But, like, that's what I want. Oh, okay. See you, Foxy. Be sure you check it. No. Just, like, I want there to be narrative tie-in. I want y'all's support to like have an impact on Idealists and Idealist lore, and I want it to feel like your effort and attention matter, even in a fictional sense, but in a heavier sense. Sings of a dream of a different reality, quote from the story. Yeah, like I want the song, the music that's released to be in story, in if anything, like to show the backgrounds of these characters, and I want you all to fall in love with these characters. In order to have that, there needs to be interaction to a certain degree, right? So like there's so much that I want to make of this, and I'm trying to combine content creation with this narrative and trying to weave it together in a special, unique way, but I'm carving my own path in this, so it's really difficult for me to find the way to do it that still is healthy for me. Because do I think I could do everything if I cut out socializing and proper sleep and exercise and going out in nature? Probably. But I would only be able to do that for so long before I crash and burn. And I'm trying to find a good, healthy balance with an already unhealthy mindset that I'm trying to also fix. And you know, I've mentioned earlier this stream, just in the story and chat, the animation is really good. Hell yeah. If it's the video that I think you're talking about, I've seen it before, but I need to see it again. Obviously, it would be helpful currently. But as I don't know. So I don't know how I'm gonna end up going about it, but I want y'all to know that that's the direction that I want to go. I think I pulled the trigger a little soon when it came to streaming, because if the fact, like, I don't think I give off that impression. That's what I want. If you looked at my content, if you looked at my shorts, if you looked at my VODs, if you looked at all this kind of stuff, I don't think that's the feeling y'all get. I don't think that's the feeling I'm giving off. But at the same time, when I wanted to start, it was because I was like, oh, it's going to take a while for me to gain like a community. So I'm going to get started now. And I underestimated the amount of maintenance it takes to do content creation, right? I think it gives a much more different vibe, more of a realistic guy of ambitions and a big dream. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to be able to go about doing this. All I know is that I don't really know how to mix the two in a way that allows me to work on both, that allows me to put out the stuff frequently enough, because my goal is to have like a big event every 3 months, and then we like do stuff that 3 months that are on theme. And oh my gosh, there was a recent music video, I'll post it in music, by JT Music for Little Nightmares 3, that it had me come up with the best seasonal idea for Idealist, where he's like stuck on a Eldritchian train and there's a bunch of it was cool, it was really neat, and I was like, oh, that would be so cool to like build something out of that. And I'm like, I am like 8 seasons behind for us to even get to that point. Hell yeah, Dragon. I Little Nightmares was something I was considering doing for Halloween, but Little Nightmares and I'm Not Human are 2 games that we will be playing soon. I'm not sure which one we'll do first, but I do want to go through the trifecta because Reanimal is a game that we're probably going to play day 1. I am so excited for Reanimal. You have no idea. But point is gonna keep a note, because Salty will absolutely enjoy joining the streams. By all means. Salty is always welcome here. Just let them know that they're always welcome. I might always do the things that they enjoy, but they're always welcome. Bottom line, I don't know how much I have to cut back, and I don't know how much that I have to... The easy solution is to stop streaming. That's the easy solution. In order to give myself time to do what I need to do, the answer is to stop streaming. But I want to do both. That feels like a cop-out. That really feels like a cop-out. I haven't found the right answer, and I'm just choosing between 2 bad decisions. And there's 3 options, right? There's only do content creation, we give up the narrative aspect to it. We just do content creation. There's we only do the narrative and don't do content creation. And the third option, which is we do both. And find a way to do both. And I think both is what will allow this to be something amazing. I think if I choose either or, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. I mean, y'all like my content. I think I do a good job at it. But like, with the narrative tie-in, it makes it so much better. And it's the same for the narrative. The narrative is great, but being able to communicate and interact with everything that's going on, that adds so much extra level to it. So I appreciate y'all's patience as I'm trying to figure this out, because it's really tough. It really is. Real moment. It's really tough trying to figure this out. When you're kind of carving your own way and you can't like watch someone else and see their process and their journey, and you're really just in the weeds, there's a lot of self-blame that kind of comes with it, where it's just like, why am I not doing anything? But the reality is you are doing something. You are trying to figure this out. You're trying to whack away at the weeds. You can't like use a machete and cut down a bunch of thick, tall grass and then be mad you only like walked a mile in a day. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to have to cut back, if at all. All I know is that it's really easy for me to switch to like content creation mode, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to doing. That's what I'm more confident in. And there does seem to be a hesitancy for me to work on this narrative. Like I keep on finding myself like getting distracted or like finding where it's like, what if we do it this way? And one of the recent things that I've ended up learning is the process called closing the loop. I forget what's the name of the video. I apologize if I recall it on the VOD. I'll be sure to post like a link to it. But it's the idea of there is a mental and an energy cost to opening a loop to something and not closing it. So like, I need to do the dishes, and then you just don't do the dishes. There is a mental and physical cost to having that open and you don't finish it, because it just sticks in the brain. It just takes up brain space. And in order to get the energy back, in order to get the reinforcement to do something else, you need to close those loops. So I don't know what I'm going to have to do in order to get myself to close this first loop. I understand this is going to be the first time. It's like I'm in the same boat. Like if I purely focus on just coding, I would be good eventually, but sacrificing art, music, and voice acting all at once would be so much less fun. To quit uni and follow the performing arts of my choosing, but then that leads to me a lot more problems that I would like. Yeah. No, Dragon, you and I are on a similar journey. Which is really funny. I do find it very amusing. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to voice this, because I think it's relatable. I think a lot of people have gone through this similar process, and I think a lot of people end up caving in. I think a lot of people are just like, I can't make it work. I'm just gonna choose one and stick with it. And I think there is some merit to that. There is some merit of just pick one and stick with that, and then make a living off of that. But I don't know, something's pulling me. Something's pulling me into this like, no, we have something here. This isn't a tacos or pizza kind of conversation. This is how great things are made. Because I can't point to something and say someone else is doing the same thing. I would be the person who is making that. And the only person. And if anything, it would inspire others to do something similarly. Because I'm talking about like almost like a fusion. Like I even thought about like each intro to a season is like an anime like style music intro, kind of deal, where we have like a song of the season kind of deal that leads into it and kind of like teases the season a bit. I think that would also be really, really cool. Again, putting more on my plate than necessary, but and when I see other content creators do something similar to this, I see it where it's like, oh, they're already incredibly successful and pulling in enough money where they're able to have a team of people work on this. And I think that's different, because I want the narrative and the content to grow and support each other and be integral in each other's success. I don't want it to be an afterthought. I don't want it to be like, oh, now we can kind of go dance around a little, because there's some really good lore videos out there, but it's not integral to their stuff. It's not part of the journey of what they've been on. And I want I want the growth of this channel to reflect the growth of the narrative. They have so many ideas that they would like to write so they just jump to metaphorical steps of learning writing techniques. Yeah. Well, that's funny because my mom said the same thing, where she was just like, this sounds like the struggle of early novelists, where you kind of have to where I'm like going back and rethinking things and reframing things, and it does make it better. It does make it better, but it makes it nigh impossible to finish anything. And it's not even perfectionism, it's just the idea of like, oh, I've come up with a better idea. And that's why timelines in an ideal world, Passion would guide you so much more than it actually does. Hey, that's why they call me the idealist, baby. Where's the... I see the vibration. Okay, there it is. I was like, where's my damn phone? But that's it. I'm an idealist. There was a point in time in my life where people who are I would say this. I would say people who are willing to make the inefficient decision between two ideas are just not creative enough to come up with the right choice. You just need to be creative enough to come up with the right decision. AKA get good. And past self has a point. He has a point. Just get good. Come up with the third option yourself. And that's what I'm doing. One thing I will confirm though is that as I'm working on things, I do plan on updating members on the fourth wall stuff. That's where I'm posting a lot of the like background like things that I'm working on, scripts, animatics, etc. So just a heads up. At least at specific tiers. Because I don't want to put spoiler stuff in front of people who didn't want to be spoiled. So that's how I kind of separated things out. Is that on the first tier, it's kind of like, oh, you just want to be able to support me, and then the tier 2 and tier 3 stuff is like, oh, you want to be spoiled. You want to see the process behind it, like that kind of mentality. Have I been keeping up with that? Like, but I have made an update within the last 3 months, so that's something. Because I've looked at other creators, and it's funny when I see at other creators and see all the amazing things they do. It's both inspiring and humbling in the sense of like, not only do they not live stream, one, they just do that, but two, they have big teams to like get the stuff done. So I need to keep that in mind, that I'm trying to do this solo. And there's a part of me that understands that if ordering me to do what I'm going to do, I'm going to need a team. But I also know that I need to make enough money to even support myself, let alone the team. In order to make money to do that, I have to show something. I have to show what I'm capable of even a little bit. I can't just talk about it. I can't just be all talk. Because we haven't even finished the horror game yet. So it's a little frustrated. I'm a little frustrated with myself that I try not to be, but I am, when it comes to getting things done. But when you have, I can't be ambitious and put too much on my plate and then get frustrated that I don't eat it all. You know what I mean? I could either do it one way or another. Or a third option, if I'm creative enough. There are people who sell the idea without full release, so much more honest than others. That's not new, surprisingly. Yeah. I know, but I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be able to prove not only to other people, but to myself that I am capable of what I am going for. I just don't really know how to do it. And I feel like I'm spending way too much time trying to figure out how to do it instead of just doing it. I don't know. I really don't. It's the struggles of a creative, am I right? Especially, I hate saying this. I really, really hate saying this. Multi-talented creative. God, that sounds so egotistical. It's... Blech. But there's only one little piece of information that I can give with certainty, is that I'm not stopping this. I might have to switch gears in order to make sure I have more money coming in. I might have to switch gears by really reeling back content creation. I might have to switch things. I'm not stopping. That isn't happening. We're in here through the long haul, regardless how long it takes. A good friend of mine, Arson, has started a freelance his creative work from a humble 3DS game maker to playing paid for his coding work. Yeah. Hell yeah. Good. Yeah, Arson. He's the one who stopped by, isn't he? The one who helped me with the coding? That was Arson, right? Or am I thinking of someone else? Maybe it's a different Arson. Anyway, I'm proud of him too. And that's another thing too, where it's just like, well, if it's this tough without a job. Yeah. Like once I get a full-time position, oh boy. Yeah, I don't really know. I really don't. Well, all I can say is that I am going to be honest and forthcoming, and I am going to think that I am lazy because I'm not getting anything done, but I'll be sure to be communicative as far as any and all changes and updates and why I'm doing things and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna do this. So, but considering he is only 1 year older than me, I have much to learn. Yeah. Well, everyone's journey is different. Don't do it by years. Yeah. But how do I do what I want to do without overwhelming? Or is that the secret? That's my secret. I'm always overwhelmed. Just turns into the Hulk, and it's like, whoa, what? Is that what he says? I thought it was something about anger. Was it really overwhelming? Was it anxiety the whole time? Yeah, it is. Well, and that's why I broke it down into like a lot of smaller parts. That way it's easier to close the loop and get motivation to continue doing it. But I haven't been able to even do the smaller parts. So every single time I hit enough resistance, instead of pushing through it, I go back, reiterate, and I do what I like to call repaving the road. I'm an excellent road maker now. So it's just like, oh, the reason I'm hitting resistance is because I haven't streamlined the process in the right way. So I go back and reprocess the process, try again, hit more resistance, go back, reprocess the process. Yeah, I mean, that's why we let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all. Let me show you what I'm doing currently. Boom. Welcome to my simple breakdown. So here are like all of my goal, like my eventual goals versus like I'm trying to do like almost like a leveling system where I have a quote unquote bare minimum per week that I do, and then if I meet those a certain amount of times, then we increase the workload just a little bit. And then eventually we reach our goal. That's the mindset. So I have all the maintenance stuff. Maintenance is what I call, this is content creation. This is like the VODs, the shorts, stream clips, and then I wanted to also do animated shorts as well. And then how many times a week I work on the narrative, how many costumes and interactions I make for y'all for streaming stuff, and then as well as how much exercise I get per week. And then I like track them as like, did I meet this? Did I meet these, the minimums of these, and do I go to the next level or not? And the mindset is I have to do it twice in a row. I have to do it 2 weeks in a row in order to level up. If I miss more than 2 in a row, if I miss 2 in a row, I level down. And then, but to level back up, I only need to do it 1 more week. So like leveling up requires 2 weeks of investment, but if you've already leveled up to that point, it only takes 1 week to go back and forth. So you still lose. The idea is, if I level up and then I can't keep up with it, then I've overreached too soon. So then I go back down. Right. Because the idea is that I overstepped, and I need to stick with what I'm doing, that I'm able to stake. It's better to stick with what staying consistent is until you're ready to move up, right? So we keep on trying to overcome that wall, but it doesn't take as much time as it would if you're trying to break into a new level, right? So you do level down if you. Well, not even just exercise stuff. This also is just like, for right now, I'm level 2 on maintenance. So my goal is 1 VOD and 3 shorts a week, which I can usually knock out in a day. No, you're good. My eventual goal is VODs 2 times a week, shorts 6 times a week, stream clips once a week, and animated shorts once a week. And then main project is currently 1 day out of the week working on the narrative. And eventually I want to work on it 5 times a week. And then as far as streaming stuff, as far as new interactions, I want to do it like once a week for interactions. I also want to move forward with the idea of making how-to videos on YouTube on different interactions that I make for y'all. So similar to what we did today, but just literally like a short YouTube video of like, hey, if you want to do something like this is how you go about it. Because I'm kind of learning a lot of this stuff on the fly, and a lot of times I do that because there's nothing online for me to learn it. So I figured I would be the one to help people learn. But that one is like, my eventual goal is once every 2 weeks for that, because that would take longer because of scripting and editing and all that other kind of stuff. And then workout, my eventual goal is essentially what our current like amount that we do, but I haven't been able to keep up with it since my whole mental health thing happened like 5 or so months back. So trying to get back up to that level, which I didn't realize, was apparently we were doing 840 crunches a week and then 336 push-ups and squats a week, which is crazy, by the way. So getting back up to what we were doing at one point, which is nuts. But that's what we were doing. Kind of crazy. So just wanted to at least introduce that again to y'all. So that way you know, like, it's important to, if you're having difficulty sticking with something, try to do the bare minimum. And the one that I like to talk about is when I was working out. So when I was trying to get myself to work out, the first 5 times that I went to go work out, I didn't even go to the gym. I literally got dressed in gym clothes and just drove by the YMCA. I didn't even go in. Because my goal was to just get myself out the door. And then after like the 5th time, I was like, we might as well go in. Because we keep on doing these drives. It's a waste of gas. You know, we're already dressed. It's fine. And then that's when I started going in. And then that's when I started working out. And like the bare minimum, getting your foot in the... We often forget the cost of doing something new. Right. The cost of doing something new, you will never, and I repeat, ever be able to put your best into something that you haven't done before. Because there's so much tax, mental tax, and physical tax of doing something new that you might be able to get like 30, maybe, out. And then the second time you do it, you might be able to squeeze like 40, maybe 50. And then the third time you do it, maybe you get up to 60. Like the more often you do it, the less taxing it is to get yourself to do it. So that's what I'm fighting with currently, is just the act of even putting, I'm having difficulty even sitting down to do it, which is why it's once a week currently. One day out of the week, if I am just working on the narrative at least one day out of the week, that's more than 0. That's infinitely more than 0. And then now that I'm doing it once a week, now I can do it twice a week. It's like, we're already doing it once a week. We could squeeze in maybe another one here. We can do another one here maybe. Who's to say? Well, yeah. I want Pumpkin back. Have Pumpkin be a little TTS buddy redeemed to speak at chat's messages. Okay. Here. Let's do this. Is it this? No. Yeah, let's do that one. And then let's do boom. Oh, have you? Yeah, that's right. You did order the sticker. Good. Boom. Oh, I need to turn those off, actually, now that I think about it. The donation stuff is done, by the way. Donation. Where is the donation stuff? Let's see. And boop. Donation. I feel like I ignored the whole I want the chat interactions to be connected. Well, here, hey Dragon. I'm gonna give you a little bit of secret, just between you and me, okay? One of the things that I really want for our interactions to be is with the summons interacting with the stream. So have like Pumpkin redeem, where suddenly Pumpkin's tail swings in from the side. It looks like it cracks the screen or whatever, and then you just see her head like poke down, and I'm like, Pumpkin, we talked about this. Like, and then she kind of goes off, and then like little repair ants like come in and like repair the screen and then walk off screen. Like little stuff like that, where like y'all can redeem or like an almost like an interrupting like summon bit. Like I already have one idea for the fire breathing parasaur, like already in my head, ready to go. Like that's something that we'll be leaning more into, where I want, one of the things that I want is I want the summons to feel real. I want it to feel like Idealist is surrounded by his summons as he's trying to do this, almost like an exasperated dad kind of vibe, where he's constantly just trying to reel them back in, because they're very individual. They're not they're summons, quote unquote, but they all have their own personalities and beliefs as part of the whole power system that he decided to move forward with. So have you ever had an idea in your head and you just close your eyes and just imagine in your head? Oh, 100%. 100%. I do that all the time. But as far as Pumpkin being TTS, since you spent the points, yeah. Stream ideas, we'll do let's see here. We'll do redeem new to channel redeem, have Pumpkin be TTS for chat. I think the way we'll go about it is, I don't think it'll be permanent, but I think at the rest of fall until like mid-December seems fair. So that might be the thing that I end up doing for the interaction for this week, is do that for you, because we've done TTS before. I'll just keep the voice consistent on like a higher pitched one, and then she can like move with the volume of the TTS, which I think Shindig's put out a video as far as going into detail on how to do that on OBS, so I don't think that'll be a problem in the slightest. Late Halloween is a cooler trend. Amen. Amen, brother. Let's see here. Donation? Yeah, here we go. Disable. What about goal? Charity goal reminder. Here we go. Disable. Okay, good. Okay. I don't know about you. I've kind of run out of steam a little bit, so I'm tempted to raid Bappy. What do y'all think? I'm fine with still talking, by the way. I am absolutely fine with still talking and yapping, but I'm feeling like at this point, like I kind of, no, Bappy into stream. Oh god! Oh god! Oh, my ears! Oh. Why? Twitch? Why? That was me opening Twitch, and like, you know how when you open Twitch, like the it shows like a video unmuted. Apparently, it was that. Crazy, right? So I'm not seeing anybody that's currently live, so I will not be actually, you know what? Let's take a look around. Let's take a look around, yeah? Hold on. What? Okay. Ooh. It was a DJ, by the way. It went to a DJ. Crazy, right? Is there a game that y'all want to raid somebody? Is there like a different certain section that y'all are vibing with? Who do you want to raid? Pumpkin Potion is live. I like them. Oh yeah. Oh, Amber Isle is something I'm gonna keep an eye on, by the way. Oh, Amber Isle. There it is. No Amber Isle, by the way. No live channels currently on it. None. it just gives us more reason that we need to do it. Am I right or am I right? Let's see here. There's 4-year anniversary donathon for Alien Isolation. Watching someone get super scared. That's funny. Ooh, there is some. There's someone drawing their own Rain World like character. Here, I'll show you. Rain World blind playthrough. We have a blind playthrough happening here. Speedrunner, gamer mom. I kind of like the drawing one, but we could do the blind playthrough one. We can do them as well. What do you think? Artist seems neat. Yeah. All right. Let's raid them. Calimer. So /raid. Calimer vibes. Okay. So I will go ahead and say goodbyes, but stick around for the raid. So thank you all for joining me here today. It was wonderful having you. I apologize for the early stream, but you know, I wasn't even 100% sure I was going to be streaming today. I'm going to rest. I'm going to continue working things out. I'll be working on your Redeemed Dragon as well throughout the week, and then this upcoming Saturday, I'll make an announcement. But we'll either be playing Little Nightmares or I'm Not Human. So look forward to that. So I hope y'all have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and I will see y'all next time. All right, take care. Stick around for the raid. All right, see ya. Bye bye.